I shouldn't have left work early. But I did. Because I knew. I'd found something a few days ago. Something small, stupid, undeniable. After that moment, nothing about our marriage felt real anymore. Every kiss, every "I love you," every night she curled against me. All of it was poisoned. I watched her like a stranger, searching for cracks in the performance. And then, this afternoon, the need to know became a physical thing. A hand around my throat, dragging me home. I drove fast, parked blocks away, my hands shaking. Walked the rest, my stomach in knots. The house was silent when I stepped inside. Then I heard it. A gasp, a moan, the unmistakable creak of our bed. I took the stairs 2 at a time. The door didn't just open, it splintered under my kick. And there they were. Claire, naked, her body arched beneath him. Liam, 17-year-old Liam, staring at me like a rabbit in a snare. The smell of them, sweat, sex, her, filled my lungs. The world went red. The world stopped making sense. Claire's voice reached me first. A strangled, "Jason." That didn't sound like her at all. It was too high, too sharp, the voice of a guilty woman, not my wife. Not the woman who'd kissed me goodbye that morning with sleepy eyes and coffee breath. Liam jerked away from her so fast he nearly fell off the bed. His stupid teenage face slack with terror. Something inside me cracked open. The air turned thick, syrupy, like moving through a nightmare. I could smell them. Their sweat, their shame, the sour tang of sex clinging to the sheets. My hands shook at my sides, fingers twitching with the need to grab, to tear, to destroy. Claire was saying something, her mouth moving. But all I heard was the blood roaring in my ears, a primal drumbeat drowning out reason. I saw everything with unnatural clarity. The way Liam's Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed, the goosebumps rising on Claire's bare arms, the indentation of my own wedding ring biting into my clenched fist. The room tilted, the walls closing in, and suddenly I wasn't Jason anymore. I wasn't the man who made her laugh, who rubbed her feet after long shifts, who trusted her with everything. I was something else entirely. The realization hit me like a physical blow. She'd been lying to me. Every touch, every smile, every whispered "I love you" had been a performance. How long? How many times? The questions burned through me, igniting a rage so pure it scorched away every thought but one. Make them pay. My body moved before my mind caught up. A glint of metal caught my eye. The titanium golf club leaning in the corner. The one I'd left there after last weekend's round with the guys. The shaft still had fresh grass stains near the grip. I joked about my shitty backswing. Claire had laughed, pouring me a drink, her fingers brushing mine with what I thought was affection. Now those same fingers were digging into the sheets, white-knuckled. As I crossed the room in 3 strides, the club felt cold in my hands, its weight perfect, balanced, like it had been waiting for this moment. Liam made a sound, a pathetic, high-pitched whimper, as I hefted it. Claire screamed my name again, but it was distant, muffled, like hearing someone shout through thick glass. The club's grip bit into my palms as I adjusted my stance, the way I'd done 1,000 times on the fairway. Practice swings. Follow through. Keep your eye on the ball. The first swing came with a sound I'll never forget. A wet, crunching thwack as titanium met flesh. Liam didn't even have time to raise his arms. The club face caught him across the temple with a force that spun him sideways, his body folding like a cheap lawn chair. Claire's scream tore through the room, raw and guttural. I barely heard it. The second swing came harder. Liam's jaw shattered under the impact, teeth skittering across the hardwood like spilled marbles. Blood sprayed in an arc, painting the cream-colored walls we'd picked out together last spring. Claire kept screaming, scrambling backward until her back hit the headboard, her hands raised in useless defense. I didn't even realize I was roaring until my throat burned. The club rose and fell in brutal rhythm. Shoulder, ribs, kneecap, each impact sending vibrations up my arms. Liam stopped making noise after the 4th swing. His body twitched, limp and broken, but I couldn't stop. Somewhere in the back of my mind, a voice whispered, "This is murder." I swung harder, Then, suddenly it was quiet. The kind of quiet that comes after the world ends. The club slipped from my fingers, slick with blood, hitting the hardwood with a final, hollow clang. My breath sawed through my chest, each inhale tasting like iron and gunpowder. Liam didn't move. Couldn't. His body lay broken where I'd left him. His skull caved in near the temple where the first swing had landed. But Claire, she tried to run. I saw the bloody handprints smeared down the hallway wall where she dragged herself. Her legs giving out after that last swing caught her across the spine. She'd almost made it to the stairs. Almost. Now she lay curled on her side in the doorway, one arm outstretched toward escape, her fingernails torn from clawing at the floorboards. The diamond pendant I'd bought her for our anniversary swung gently from her neck, glinting in the afternoon sun still streaming through the bedroom window. The pendant was the only thing moving. I stood between their bodies, sweat cooling on my skin, listening to the house settle around us. The fridge hummed downstairs. Car passed outside. Normal sounds. Everyday sounds. Then I saw it, her phone, still clutched in her left hand. The screen was cracked, but lit up. 911. 3 numbers dialed but never sent. My knees hit the floor. The rage that had filled me moments before drained away, leaving something cold and hollow in its place. What had I done? What would you have done in those explosive seconds? Could any man walk away from that kind of betrayal without violence? Or was Jason's rage the inevitable conclusion to Claire's deception? This is only the beginning. The blood may be dry, but the real torment is just starting. Follow to witness Jason's unraveling. Then tell us in the comments. Would you have swung that club? Or could you have walked away? The wrapper shouldn't have meant anything. I nearly missed it entirely. Just a flash of silver blue foil peeking through the bathroom wastebasket's crumpled tissues and empty toothpaste boxes. My hand froze halfway to grabbing the trash bag. Trojan ultra thin, still slightly damp at the edges. We hadn't used condoms since our first year together. Claire had gotten an IUD after we decided kids weren't part of our future. No barriers between us anymore, she'd whispered that night, running her nails down my chest in that way that always made me shiver. That was 7 years ago. I lifted it carefully, as if handling evidence. The expiration date showed it was recently purchased. The torn edges were crisp, used within the last 24 hours. My stomach lurched. Our bedroom was just down the hall. The wrapper trembled in my fingers. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe Claire had used it for... What? A sex toy? A metallic taste filled my mouth. I realized I'd been biting the inside of my cheek hard enough to draw blood. There was only one explanation. Someone had forked my wife in our home, and she'd let them. The wrapper burned a hole in my pocket for 3 days. I told myself I wouldn't confront her. Not yet. I needed to be sure. So I watched. Claire moved through our routines like always, making coffee, humming in the shower, folding laundry while watching true crime documentaries. But now I saw the cracks. The way her phone always faced down now. How she startled when I entered rooms too quietly. That new habit of chewing her lower lip raw when she thought I wasn't looking. I caught her staring blankly at her reflection in the microwave door. When I touched her shoulder, she jerked like I'd branded her. Just tired, she said. But her pupils were dilated. Her breathing too quick. The Claire I knew could lie about burning dinner, not about whatever this was. Then came the smell. Her perfume changed. That light citrus scent I'd bought her last anniversary replaced by something muskier, darker. The kind a man might choose. I found the bottle hidden in her gym bag. Tom Ford fucking oud wood. When I sniffed the collar of her winter coat that night, my knees nearly buckled. It smelled like him. Thursday morning, the performance began. Claire emerged from the bathroom wrapped in a robe, her face theatrically pale. "I think I'm coming down with something," she murmured, pressing the back of her hand to her forehead in a gesture so cliché it made my teeth ache. I watched her carefully, the way she avoided my eyes as she called in sick to work, how her nausea didn't stop her from carefully applying mascara. The slight hesitation before rattling off symptoms like she was reading from an imaginary script. "I just need to sleep it off," she said. pulling the covers up to her chin at 8:17 a.m. Claire, who never slept past 6, who called midday naps a waste of life. I stood in the doorway, gripping my car keys hard enough to leave marks. "Should I stay home with you?" Her reaction was instant, a micro-flinch before the too-quick headshake. "Don't be silly. It's probably just a 24-hour thing." The math clicked in my head even as I kissed her goodbye. I got in my car and drove away. The conference room air was suffocating. I sat through the Monday morning meeting like a ghost, my manager's voice fading in and out of focus. The quarterly sales numbers flashed on the projector screen, but all I could see was that condom wrapper. That fucking Trojan ultra-thin glinting in our bathroom trash. Across the table, Reynolds asked me a question. I blinked. "Sorry. Your Southwest region projections," he repeated, frowning. "You were supposed to have them ready today." I stared at my empty hands. My report folder sat unopened on my desk. "I'll email them this afternoon." Claire was home right now. Alone? The thought drilled into my skull. I checked my phone under the table, no messages. No feeling better texts. Nothing since her theatrical performance this morning. At 10:30, the meeting broke for coffee. I pretended to study the sales charts while my coworkers mingled. Their laughter grated against my nerves. Didn't they know my marriage was bleeding out 12 miles away? I called Claire. For rings. Voicemail. "Hey, it's me." Her recorded voice was sunshine and promises. "Leave a message." I hung up, texted instead. "How's the fever?" The reply came suspiciously fast. "Still rough. Going back to sleep." Sleep, right? I pictured our bedroom. The bed she'd made before faking illness. The new cologne scent clinging to her coat. That condom wrapper. My chair screeched as I stood. "Emergency at home," I muttered to no one in particular, already moving toward the exit. The drive was a nightmare of red lights and crawling traffic. I took side streets, cutting through neighborhoods, my knee bouncing uncontrollably. What would I find? An empty house? Claire actually sick in bed? Or something else? I parked crookedly in the driveway, not bothering with the garage. The house was too quiet. And then I heard it, the faintest creak of bed springs from upstairs. We used to laugh so hard we'd cry. That's what I kept coming back to, those early years when Claire's smile was real, not just something she wore for parties and polite company. When she'd press cold hands against my ribs just to hear me yelp. When we'd stay up until 3 a.m. talking about nothing. Her legs tangled with mine under the sheets. Somewhere along the way, the silence took over. It happened in small ways at first. A missed date night here, a forgotten anniversary there. We blamed work, stress, the natural ebb and flow of marriage. But then the excuses ran out, and all that remained was the quiet. I'd catch her staring at me sometimes, her expression unreadable. "What?" I'd ask. "Nothing," she'd say, turning back to her book. The last time we'd had sex was 3 months ago. Mechanical, routine. The kind of intimacy you schedule when you've forgotten how to want each other. Afterward, she'd rolled onto her side, her back a silent wall between us. "Long day," she'd murmured. At first, Liam Donnelly was just another student in Claire's world. I remember the afternoon she came home unusually animated, her eyes bright as she unpacked her satchel. "You should read this," she said, handing me an essay with remarkably polished prose for a high school junior. Kid writes like he's got something to prove. I chuckled at her enthusiasm. Claire had always taken special pride in her star students. Last year it had been Maria Chan and her award-winning poetry. This Liam was clearly her new protege. When I met him at the fall football game, he stood out on the field, not just for his athleticism but for that particular intensity some teenagers have. At 6'1" with the lean muscles of a natural runner, he moved with a confidence that made him seem older until he smiled, revealing the boyish gap between his front teeth. His parents cheered loudly from the stands, his mother snapping endless photos, his father shouting plays. A typical suburban family. Nothing about them hinted at why their son would soon become so important to my wife. As the season progressed, Claire started staying late to help with his college applications. "He's got Princeton potential," she'd explain while packing extra snacks in her bag. I didn't think much of it. She'd done the same for other promising students over the years. One evening, I found her asleep at her desk, Liam's latest paper still in her hands. The margins were crowded with her familiar looping notes, the same thorough feedback she gave all her top students. I smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. My dedicated wife, burning the midnight oil for another kid chasing dreams. How innocent it all seemed then. The change happened so gradually I almost missed it. Claire started wearing her hair differently on school days, softer, with those loose waves she used to reserve for date nights. I noticed new clothes appearing in her wardrobe. Silk blouses that clung to her shoulders, skirts that swayed when she walked. Professional image, she called it when I complimented her. Her phone became an extension of her hand. At dinner, she'd set it face down, jumping when notifications buzzed. Just students with questions, she'd say. But her thumbs would fly across the screen with an urgency I'd never seen for school emails. Then came the Thursday night study sessions. He needs extra help with his personal statement, Claire explained one evening as she reapplied lipstick at 7 p.m. The guidance counselor recommended me. I almost asked why a 17-year-old couldn't meet during school hours. Almost questioned why she sprayed that expensive perfume just to go to the library. But this was Claire, my wife of 12 years, the woman who volunteered at food drives and remembered all her students' birthdays. The flashing red and blue lights painted the neighborhood in grotesque carnival colors as I sat handcuffed on our front porch. The first responding officer had been a kid himself. Couldn't have been more than 25. And his hands shook as he radioed for backup. I remember the way his breath fogged in the cold air, how he kept glancing through the open doorway where Claire's bare foot was just visible at the top of the stairs. "Did you do this?" he asked, not meeting my eyes. I didn't answer. The blood on my shirt was drying stiff, the metallic scent mixing with the night air. Down the block, porch lights flicked on one by one as the neighborhood woke to the spectacle. Mrs. Henderson from across the street stood in her robe, hands pressed to her mouth. Old Mr. Petrovsky limped out with his cane, squinting at the commotion. By the time the detectives arrived, my hands had gone numb from the cuffs. They walked me past the growing crowd, past the whispers and the smartphones raised to capture my downfall. The Donnellys arrived at the Morgan just after 3 a.m. I know because the officer guarding my cell left the door ajar when he went for coffee, and I heard the desk sergeant talking about it. "Mother had to be sedated," he said, voice carrying down the hallway. "Father punched a hole in the wall. Kid was their golden child. Full ride to Michigan lined up." At the high school, the flag flew at half-mast by 7:30 a.m. Students clustered in tearful groups, some genuinely grieving, others just thrilled by the drama. The journalism teacher, Claire's old friend, canceled classes and turned the newspaper office into a makeshift memorial. By noon, someone had taped Liam's football photo to Claire's classroom door with the word "Why?" scrawled beneath it in red marker. Detective Ruiz laid the photographs across the interrogation table with the care of a dealer revealing a winning hand. "Recognize any of these boys?" The first showed Mark Jenkins, now a sophomore at Penn State, grinning in his Letterman jacket. The second was Danny Torres in his military academy uniform. Both had been in Claire's sophomore honors class. Both had made varsity their freshman year. Ruiz tapped a third photo, a text message screenshot on Claire's phone. "I know we said last time was the last time, but I can't stop thinking about you. The motel after the game." The timestamp was 2 days before Liam died. "We've got statements from 4 others," Ruiz said. "All athletes, all under 18 at the time." He leaned back, studying my reaction. "You really never suspected?" But in the end, it didn't matter what they decided. That little scrap of evidence had already done its damage. Still hear Claire's voice in my head, just tired, as she rolled away from me in bed. The jury would never know about it. But I did. And some nights, when the prison noises fade enough to let me think, I wonder if things might have been different if they had. This is a story that leaves us with difficult questions and no easy answers. Share this video to encourage thoughtful discussion about the devastating consequences of such actions. If you or someone you know needs help, please reach out. Thank you for watching.